Tino, look, what do you say to the statement, the bar for success is low, the stakes are high, and it's a close race in relation to the elections?
Well, in terms of the closeness of the race, I think that's an understatement.
Yeah.
It's a runover, as President Chamisa has said. I do not think that Zimbabweans are going to want to enjoy another 5 years of President Mnangagwa's rule. I think sitting here, especially from a diaspora perspective, the first thing that comes to my mind is what will happen tomorrow? Is Mnangagwa going to get another 5 years? And if the 9 months that we have seen him at work is anything to judge by, then I might have a problem. Should I be applying for a South African citizenship? Is it time to, to close it off and say Zimbabwe is no longer a country for myself? People are very worried. So for Mnangagwa to be able to come out as a winner in that particular election, I think his chances are very low. If he can master 40%, that would be a win for him, under normal circumstances.
Tino, look, I mean, what worries you about the current Zim constitution, and what do you think needs to be at the top of whoever takes the elections in terms of fixing the constitution?
Well, the constitution is not bad in Zim. That's something that I should tell you. We have just adopted this constitution as of 2013.
Yeah.
The biggest problem we have with the current administration is the unwillingness to implement the provisions of the constitution. So where certain areas like the electoral reforms that were agreed upon, they are not being implemented to the spirit of the law.
Let's talk about those electoral reforms.
I think I can now take you back to the ballot. It had been agreed by all stakeholders that the printing of the ballot, the transportation of the ballot, and all areas around the ballot, the testing of the ballot would be done. But at the end of the day, ZEC turned around and they did not go through that process. That's number one. We look at the voters' roll. The Zimbabwe electoral...
Much contestation on that as well.
Of course, much contested. The voters' roll was supposed to be out before the sitting of the nomination court. ZEC failed to provide it before the sitting of the nomination court. They only came out with another, with an electronic copy after the sitting of the nomination court, and that particular copy, when it was being analyzed, it fell short, and there's been serious allegations that there are about 900,000 ghost voters or unclear voters on that particular roll. So that again is a sign of the breach of the constitution in terms of what is expected of it. And also ZEC was supposed to provide a voters roll that shows the face or the photo of the particular voter and any other details as the address, as the as the biometrics and all that. But in terms of that, they have not been able to provide such a voter's roll. The question is, why are they not doing it? And they applied to court, and after going to court, then the High Court said it is not according to the law to provide the photo of a voter, which is quite strange because the Constitution says the voters' roll should be compiled in such a way that it has got all those details together. And they said if we published somebody's photo, we are then infringing on their privacy. But we have argued back and said that what is supposed to be secret is not the voter, it's the vote that the voter casts. So you have a secret vote, not a secret voter. Because at the end of the day, somebody's face is not a private thing. I always keep my face wherever I go. How can my face then become private? I could not find the logic in that.
Let's also talk about this while we're still talking about those impasses when it comes to the electoral system. The issue, Tino, you going home to vote tomorrow. I mean, it's been in the news all the time. There's been proposals to let Zimbabweans in the diaspora be able to vote.
When President Mugabe met us at the embassy, I think that was in December last year, he said that the voice of the people is the voice of God. And we believed that to mean that he will be in a position to accord us the opportunity to cast our votes from South Africa, from Mozambique, from all other countries that that have got a reasonable number of Zimbabweans. But unfortunately, he turned around and did not give us that. We tried to challenge that in court, but the court also rejected our case without giving any firm reasons. So this smacks of an administration which is bent on denying the people their constitutional rights. They understand that the majority of Zimbabweans that are outside the country hardly live a proper life, and for them to be able to go home, register, then again take another trip to go and vote, it's a problem. So we see a government that is not willing to enable people to exercise their rights. A government should enable its citizens to exercise their rights under any given circumstances. Absolutely. They should spend much of their time in making sure that it is the rights of the citizens that are respected and, and are given due consideration. But what we have seen with Mnangagwa's administration is an attempt to appease the international community. Yeah. Other than appeasing Zimbabweans. At the end of the day, it is Zimbabweans who are going to remain Zimbabweans, and they will remain in the country for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to come. It's not the international community that will remain in Zimbabwe. That's so I think he should put his focus on the people as it is golden that the people will always matter. We're
going to talk about Mnangagwa and Chamisa in a short while, but let's talk about this while we're still talking about, of course, education and so forth, and all the outstanding issues that are in relation to the election. We are aware that Zimbabweans are very educated individuals. Do you think, though, that voter education is enough? If people are still saying, I don't have a name, I don't know who I'm voting for, but I am going to vote at this late stage. It is the 29th, the elections are tomorrow.
Well, if anybody says to you that they don't know who they are voting for, that is the biggest lie of the century. They are only telling you that their vote is a secret. In any event, people know already who they are going to vote for. They've been educated enough to understand who is the potential candidate. I think political parties have gone all their way to make sure that they get that particular information to the voters. So I think such people are only trying to play it safe, but they are obviously going to vote for somebody.
Absolutely. And yes. The youth activeness in those politics, do you think the youth are very active in Zimbabwean politics, Tino?
What I can tell you right now at this moment is...
those are the future leaders,
in terms of Zimbabwe at the moment, the political discourse belongs to the youth. The only problem is in ZANU-PF, where they have got their youth chairman, who is more than 55 years old. And his son, who is also in the youth, who is also in the youth structures of the same party,
how old
is above, I think, is nearing his 30s. So we've got the father and the son all being youth members. It's scary stuff that happens in ZANU-PF anyway. But generally, the majority of young people in Zimbabwe, they are active. I think in terms of council candidates, most of the council candidates, or more than 50% of the current candidates for council are youth people under the age of 35. The same applies also to MPs. I think in terms of MPs, I've not checked the demographics and the numbers as well. But I think we might have 40% are going to the youth. So the youth are very active. They are determining their destiny.
And where are they functioning? Are they functioning under their party's youth leagues or what? Just under the fray of politics, Tino? How are they emerging as future politicians of the country that will have an influence in the country because they vastly know about the politics of the country?
The biggest donator of active youth politicians has always been universities. They come from university unions, and they then get you into political party structures. And some come from the university unions, and then they become independent candidates. I think we have got plenty of candidates that are running as independents who are also very young. So political parties, yes, they've been trying to assimilate the youth, and that has been a growing trend in ZANU-PF and in MDC and the other smaller parties.
All right, now let's get to the big things. Yes. Let's talk about Chamisa versus Mnangagwa. Come tomorrow.
Yes.
What are you expecting to see? Let me put you on the spot there.
Well, you're putting me on the spot. It's a very tight one in terms of my answer. But, what you should look at is what does
well, basically, are you expecting free and fair elections, which is something that Zimbabweans have been saying for a long time? It's never happened.
No. There is no way. I've given you all scenarios around ZEC. ZEC is in bed with ZANU-PF. They are colluding to rig the people.
You mean the Electoral Commission is in bed with ZANU-PF?
Of course. They've got common interest. We'll explore that just now. But what I want to indicate is Mnangagwa is that husband who does not physically beat a wife, you understand? But he uses certain instruments within the law to abuse the people. So you've got a wife that is abused and is beaten, and you can see the marks on. But Zimbabweans under ZEC, they are being abused emotionally. So, like being denied transparency, being denied the access to the voters' roll, those areas, they really intimidate people. And people ask themselves, if they are not willing to do such, is it true that these votes will be rigged, these elections will be rigged? You understand? So that brings an emotional discomfort in the minds of people. But however, the people of Zimbabwe have taken it upon themselves to make sure that they will become the policemen of the vote. the generality of the Zimbabweans will become the referee of the election. So to answer you,
yes, go ahead.
It is a race between two people. It is the race between the old and the new. It is a race between the future and the past. It is a race between continuation or perpetuation of the existing status quo or a clean start on a clean piece of paper. And Nelson Chamisa provide that clean start. You know, it's so refreshing to wake up with a new cabinet. When I'm talking of a new cabinet, I do not mean recycled faces. I mean a new cabinet with new faces, new president, new everything. Then we
new ideas,
new policies. It's something that everybody in Zimbabwe is wishing to see.
And really, Zimbabwe really needs those new faces and new changes right from the grassroots, Tino.
That's what
you know what, Tino, we're going to leave a chair for now, but I'm not letting you go. You're going to stay with me because we need to explore those common interests that you were alluding to between the ZEC, that is the Zimbabwean Electoral Commission, and of course the ruling ZANU-PF. It is Mr. Tino Mambeu from the Zimbabwe Exile Forum. We are deliberating elections and the state of readiness, and of course anything else that you might need to know about Zimbabwe. We'll be back after the short break.